Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Pradnya Desh. Pradnya, welcome on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. So let's get started with who is Pradnya?
That's a complicated question. It's a deep question. I'm a CEO who likes to create something out of nothing. And I really like to develop people. I think that's the best part of leading a team. I'm also the mother of three boys, two 11th graders, and a 7th grader. They're my joy and a lot of my focus as well. I'm a CEO who chose my husband as a CTO. And it was an amazing, lucky turn of events because he's an AI engineer that led a team to build a backend for another AI platform. And you need, in a startup, you need a brilliant engineer who can build anything. And you also need a leader who has the vision to build something out of nothing, to inspire employees to follow them by painting a clear picture of that vision, and to get people excited to invest in it, to build it, to buy it. And so the CEO has to love the vision and love solving the problem. And I'm that CEO. I'm also a former US diplomat. I represented the United States at the World Trade Organization in Geneva. And finally, I'm an attorney who ran a law firm for several years and saw a problem in the industry that I'm driven to solve.
That is amazing and awesome. And to be able to pack that into 1 minute, that's mind blowing. Let's talk about your business, your company, Advocate, and tell us what it does and who your customers are, and just give us a sense for you know the shift that you're captaining.
So we're an early stage startup. Advocat is conversation driven AI legal research, intake, and drafting. And it really came from my observation when I ran a law firm that legal services are very expensive for individuals and companies because processes are very manual and slow. So this is really how it got started. I had one attorney, a brilliant tech attorney, who walked into my office almost once a month, every month at the end of a very long day, and would just throw herself into the couch that I had in my office and say, I'm bored. I'm really bored. I spent today doing the exact same legal work that I've done 100 times. And so it took her the whole day, that particular day, once a month. And it would have taken her several days when she was new at it. But the point that she was trying to make is that her brilliant human brain was spent on something rote and repetitive that had already been figured out. So she wanted something new and exciting and innovative. And I just didn't have that to give her because we had so much rote manual work that we had to crank through.
That's really exciting to have a problem just kind of come to you and that you can jump on. Give us a sense of the size and scale of your operations. Who's your ideal customer? What geographies you serve? And maybe even if you want to talk about certain customers.
Yeah. So we're a SaaS product for large enterprise legal departments in which a person who needs a legal document talks to our system, and it gathers up data from what in the company. It gathers up the correct legal document, and then it puts it into the workflow that the company already has, including its in-house attorneys and other approvals. So it saves a lot of work and frustration. So our operations, were you asking about what it looks like right now? Yeah, it's so we recently got funding. So we recently closed a round of $1.3 million, which
Congrats.
means it's amazing, but it's also moving really fast right now in building up and scaling and figuring out who we are as we grow up, or who we want to be as we grow up, and who we are right now. So our operations right now are spread out among two different places. We have 5 in Seattle, and that includes co-founders, employees, and contractors. And then we have 3 more in India. And so a total of 8 people is the entire company. And it feels like there's a big task ahead of us, and we're moving really fast to solve this problem.
That's super exciting, right? And that's the thrill of being an entrepreneur. In addition to all the challenges it brings with you. So tell us about the biggest challenge you're facing as a team.
Well, so as you know, the problem that we're solving is that Advocat does the boring, repetitive work that is still very important for the company, freeing up attorneys to do the strategic planning and innovative work. But so the challenge at this stage is really getting it all done, is that engineering the product as quickly as we can, hiring as quickly as we can. So the talent is out there, definitely, and in our company, but bringing in the right people who have the energy and enthusiasm and culture fit right now is our challenge. And doing it quickly, as quickly as we need to do it, that's absolutely our challenge.
Well, we're all trying to figure out how can we get more hours in a day. At least I
Oh,
am.
absolutely true.
On the flip side, what's the biggest opportunity you're looking at?
That comes to the reason that we started the company, because I see that right now there's so much opportunity out there. So there are tasks that are well suited for humans to do. And there are tasks that are well suited, that are better suited for the machines to do in every industry. And the opportunity now is to find those tasks and automate them. So sure, the big ones, the more obvious ones, those are already done. So now we in the tech industry need to look deeper to the next level to figure out the micro tasks and maybe the slightly larger, but to be able to identify those and to automate those and to figure out how the machines work with humans to unleash efficiency. And when we find those, we are going to unleash tremendous potential for humanity. And the way I see it is that the best solutions to many of the world's problems, the most pressing problems there are out there in the world, is to improve productivity. Because when we do that, we make more available for everybody.
So true. Do you have either a success story or a lesson learned so far in the journey that you want to talk about?
So that's interesting as well, because so in general, I see the best in people. And I like that I do that. And sometimes that means, as an excited, driven, trusting entrepreneur, it might mean occasionally you get burnt. But I have learned that it's better. So this is a long arc, and actually the specifics of getting burned, I'm not going to share. we might do that another time, but not at this moment, because there's a lot that goes with that. But I have learned over a long arc that it's still better to be the trusting, excited, forward-looking entrepreneur that's looking for the opportunity, not living in a way that's fearful and abrasive, because it gets in the way of building the company that I want to build, building the culture that I want to build, the way that I want to live my life, looking for opportunity, and trying to expand the pie rather than seeing what's wrong with what's happening in front of me. So that is broadly a lesson that I have learned.
It's a big lesson, and I'm sure it wasn't a direct path to it, but must have taken you a lot of stepping back and thinking through it.
A lot of stepping back. It's a hard fought lesson. So I would say to anybody who's in that, because there is the period after somebody gets burned, is that there's a whole lot of self-reflection and doubt and figuring out what to do differently. But I think coming out on the other end of that and realizing that it's still seeing the best in people, looking for the opportunity, it's just really important.
So true. Let's build up on that and talk about you. And the way we want to do this is through a series of 5, or if you have more, one-line life lessons.
Okay. I would say my first one is to surround yourself with amazing people and inspire each other. Because if you already start with people who are driven, have a perspective of building and creating, and then you each are independently working to do your best and inspire each other, only good things can come out of that.
I love that. So true. And especially when, as an entrepreneur, it's a series of ups and downs. And when you're down, you really need that kick, that boost of inspiration.
You do.
Yep.
And I find that it comes best from people who are pulling in the same direction that you're pulling.
So true. What's your next lesson for us?
So my next one is to earn trust. So I have on my wall actually a small poster that says "Build Trust." But I think even more than building trust, because that is might or might not be earned, it's important to, as a leader and as a person, as to do the actions that you say that you're going to do. So build trust by being dependable, being upfront, being honest, and following through with the promises that you've made. And for a startup founder, that's really hard, because we make really big promises, and we're and we do that because we're absolutely planning to achieve a large vision, and it doesn't always go quite the way as we plan, but it does eventually. So I always add the word yet, as we know from growth mindset, at the end of a sentence. It's like, okay, we haven't achieved that target yet, but we will.
Yes, and can't emphasize that enough, right? Just even in our day to day, and even in our personal lives, right? Trust is, I think, what it comes down to. So, very well put.
Thank you.
Okay. Ready for your next lesson?
My next one is relentless execution. So that's more of a phrase than a sentence, yes. But it's something I get caught up in ideas, and I get really excited about ideas. And that's why I personally need to remind myself of relentless execution. At the same, so I'm surrounded by engineers in my company. They're pretty good at relentless and execution. But it's important to make sure that we're all aligned, that we're executing on the right vision and a plan, and I need to know where it's going to lead. And so I remind myself every day that my goal is relentless execution.
Yep, you got to steer that ship in the right direction every morning.
I do. No matter how exciting the ideas are, I have to steer it to the right conclusion.
Very well put. What's your next lesson?
Actually, I have 3, so I think that's it. But I think maybe I'll talk a little bit about building the right company culture, which is not necessarily, that's broader than a one-line lesson. But I want to talk about that just because it's in the early stage that it's really important to set the right culture. Because if you start off on the wrong foot, it's very hard to go back and correct it. It's possible, but it's really hard to do. And so building the right culture from the beginning. And so I want to tell you a little bit about the culture that we have at my company, because that shows what I feel is the right culture for my company. And so we're about 3 things. We care about solving the world's problems. And so that's a lot for any one person and any one startup to do, but we're absolutely part of the solution. And so we care about solving the world's problems. The next is that we respect people, and that's customers, employees, the community. We've built that in, we baked that right into our culture. And so that helps, I think, in whether it's making an engineering decision, a sales decision, or any other decision, is that knowing that we respect people, it makes it easier to make the right decision. And the other is really internal for the company, and that's that we give honest feedback, delivered kindly but directly. And that one, I came from a law firm, and that one's really hard, because either the law firm was maybe not delivering honest feedback because they didn't want to hurt each other's feelings, or delivered not kindly, but very directly. And so I wanted to very mindfully build that culture. And I also found among engineers, sometimes we have introverts who have who find an issue and maybe have a problem that they would like somebody else to change, but don't necessarily want to say anything. That's not productive. It slows things down. And so it's really important to know that at our company, we deliver feedback honestly, directly, and kindly.
Yep. Candor and going back to what you said about trust is really the foundation for setting the right culture.
Definitely true.
Yes.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah. And, I think what you said kind of sums it up, right? It's knowing the why. And in this case, the why is helping the community, helping the people. It's about the people and solving the problems. So it nicely brings it all back together.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
I'm happy to. I appreciate your asking all about me. I don't get to spend that much time thinking about me. I spend all my time thinking about the company.
Well, it's all about the community, right? We get to know each other, we help each other, and we build, we share, and we grow.
We do. And I appreciate the show that you have because it's such a great opportunity to see what others have to say and learn from them, and also to share.
Well, thank you for contributing. Thanks for taking the time and being with us today, talking to our audience. We would love to continue with getting to know about your success and your journey. And I'm sure we'll bring you back on when you have more success, a bigger team, and you have solved a lot of the problems and are looking to solve even bigger ones.
Thank you. I would love that.
Thank you, Pradnya, so much for being with us today.
Thank you.